Hello guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan. Today I'm going to be joined once again by Bubblebox and SilverRaptor. If you'd like to check out Bubblebox's channel, then there will be a link in the description below. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, then please also make sure you check out his playlist that will be linked below. In this one, we're going to be having a look at the Red Dragon support deck. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the video. To start, I've got the YW701. This is just an armored command vehicle that I thought, I'd be able to spread around the map in those more contested sectors because it's armored. I guess I could have taken a tank, but I didn't necessarily want to. I think in support decks, or if you're going to be playing a support role, your CVs aren't necessarily going to be on the front line, so I didn't want to take a tank. I just took the next best thing, which is an armored CV.
Okay.
Then I also have a card of infantry, so I've got an infantry command as well. Obviously, as a support deck, it is pretty much going to be your job to capture the sectors or keep them captured. So you're going to have more emphasis on command units. So I've got 2 cards, which I normally do anyway, but yeah, in this case, it's especially important.
Yep.
Then I have 4 fobs.
Yeah.
If you're playing support, you're going to be supplying your whole team. So 4 seemed like a nice round number, and that is a maximum amount you can get. So yeah,
Cool.
There we go. I decided to get all of them.
Right. And for distributing
Then-
the logistics?
Yeah, then for distributing, I have the MI6. This is the biggest supply helicopter you can get, so worth having. I've only got 1 card of those, but then I've got 2 cards of SX250 cargoes. These things don't have like the biggest amount of supply to carry, but I think it's the match is the biggest you can get anyway. So yeah, I just prefer the look of them to the other cargo trucks,
Yeah.
and that's why I chose them.
Cool. Silver.
I got the 2 fobs, 1 Chinese, 1 North Korea. When I choose fobs, I kind of expect at least my allies to have at least 1 fob, and then when we were doing the armor deck and how Bubble was saying he was counting on the support deck, I went, uh-oh. But I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to stick with the 2 fob for now. For supply, I got 2 cards of MI6s for the amount of supply that I can bring in, as well as the 2 cards of the ZIL 130 cargo. And I noticed, Vulcan, you said you like the look of these rather than the SX250 cargo. I actually like the look of these better than the SX250 cargo. So, we each their own, right?
Okay,
And
cool.
And then finally for CVs, I actually got the Chonma Ho CV because it's the same point as the armor personnel CV that Vulcan got, but it's got more armor, and I was expecting that when people come up against the support deck and they get artied on, they just bring out what artillery they have and they just start blindly artillerying back or just in frustration. And I just thought more armor would be better to survive a stray artillery shot, more than just protecting itself. It's just I got this for its armor for the same
Yeah.
price.
Okay.
I also got infantry in ZSL 56 command vehicle infantry to put in like buildings when there's like sectors that only have buildings to capture the sector, I guess. So and it's a support deck with massive logistic tab. Why not have 2 CVs, right?
Yeah, sure. I've got 3 fobs. I've got 2 logistics. I've got the Chomahos tanks, and I've got the Jimmy and bands in BTR 60Ps as well, and 2 sets of MI6s and 2 sets. Which one? Sets. God. Well, which one do I prefer? The SX250 cargoes. I prefer the look at those. Sorry, Silver.
That's fine.
I'm really,
Yeah, 2 to 1.
surprised. Actually, they haven't got the. There is a bigger supply truck for Red for isn't there? I'm surprised that's not in their support deck. It seems a bit weird, but anyway, to hold.
Yeah.
More, I mean.
Yeah. This is kind of strange. I think, I don't know if it's taken out or not. Like, I swear the Chinese have a bigger ground.
Yeah, I think they have.
Logistics
Yeah.
unit.
Weird.
But oh well.
That's
I can go
usual.
and check really quick if you
No,
want.
no. Let's just carry on.
Okay.
Right, we can check that later. Let's move on to the infantry. Silver.
Well, first off, since this was a support deck, I just wanted to make sure I had enough infantry for support with the idea of supporting the bid. So the first thing I decided to get were 2 stacks of Iglas. So that's 20 Iglas total. This will help keep any helicopters away from buildings all over the map. I followed up with Tanky Shao's 85s. The very good fire support unit. Nice range, good AP power, and an HE power to engage enemy infantry. I think they're very good for their value. And then I got 2 cards of Zhangxis, one Zhangxi and one Zhangxi 85s. Both of them are in 5-point trucks of death. The reason why I got the Zhangxi 85 is because I think you should have at least one infantry that has a high AP power in case you meet that one player who moves up high armor tanks into buildings and you need to take those out quickly. So, but other than that, that's my infantry.
Okay. So let's see what Vulcan's got to say about that.
Okay, so when I was thinking of my support deck, I was thinking of just infantry that would be good in defensive situations. So I've got actually a card of band tank baggots. They're actually, decent for killing enemy APCs, like just picking off stuff whenever it comes into range. They don't have the greatest AP power, so they are just going to be used for picking off those like medium and light units, but they can be incredibly annoying, so that's why I have them.
Yeah, but that attracted me is their AP power. I was just like, this can't penetrate the armor of most Abrams, so that kind of what detracted me from picking these.
Yeah, but again, it's like I say, I'm thinking defensively, and the fact that like if somebody's going to be throwing APCs at a town, those HGMs are definitely going to take out a couple of them before they get there. So yeah, especially with their 2,400 range, there's not really much that's going to escape the range of that. Then moving on, I've got the QW1s. These have 5 HE power and just again a defensive infrared AA unit for towns and forests. I just think they're worth having. I have a card of Tank Shashaos. Again, great defensive units. They're kind of terrible when they're out in the open because they're only 5-man squads. So again, keep them in buildings, in edge of tree lines, and they're going to be sniping units all day long. Then finally, I've just got 2 cards of Pachongsus in BTR 60Ps, and this is literally just for spam defense, basically. If somebody comes up to a town that I'm defending, it's literally going to be 2 cards of these in every single sector.
You said
hopefully, hopefully the attrition will slowly win them down.
If I could say, the Zhangxis have a slightly better light machine gun with higher rate of fire and longer range, so that's why I chose the Zhangxis.
I'm going for the accuracy in this case. I think that 10% extra accuracy is much better if you're going to be fighting in towns. So yeah, that's why I picked them.
Fair enough.
Okay, cool. I've got 4 cards filled of infantry. I've got the QW1s for a little bit of for some man pads, a little bit for extra AA, and little cheap 5-point trucks. For my main infantry, I say main infantry in what is not really a main infantry deck, I've gone for the Gongbongs in BTR 60Ps. And I've gone for these. These are kind of the light riflemen of this deck, I suppose. So they can do a little bit of everything. They haven't got the best AP power, but they can shoot at just armoured trucks and little personnel carriers. A reasonable range at 1,225. And they've got a decent kind of rate of fire and primary. And
they're
stuff.
Also shock trained
and
as
they're
well.
Shock trained. So I've got 2 stacks of them. So not too bad on the infantry front, really. And I've also got a set of the band tank faggots. I do think the ATGM infantry unit are underused really quite a lot in this game. And I think it's because a lot of the maps are very tight and it's hard to use these things at range, as it is to use a lot of the big tanks as well. But I do like to have a set of them in most of my decks, and I've gone for them in this deck as well. So that's my infantry. So, moving on to the big one, the support tab, Vulcan.
All right, yeah. Okay, so obviously this is the focus of this deck. I'm going to start off with a BM21. I've got only one card of these. The longest range HE power thing you can get. 7 HE power, not as good as the BM24's 8 HE power, but I think the range is what you're going to need because you're going to be generally using your fobs to resupply them. Rate of fire doesn't really matter. You know, the idea of this is just that you'll absolutely carpet an area with as many as you can bring out, which in this case would be 5. So, yep, hopefully that'll work out. Then I've got 2 cards of the PHL 81s, and the reason I've got 2 cards of these instead of the BM21s is because the PHLs have an underwhelming, to say the least, AP power. So they've only got 3 AP power. You're going to need a lot of these to do some serious damage to units from the top, because at least every tank has like 1 top armor. So you're only going to be doing like 2 damage with each hit. And yeah, you're going to need a lot of them. So that's why I'm taking a lot of them, and I have 2 cards of them. Then I have the PHZ70, which is like a terrible Buratino.
Understatement.
You're not feeling this deck, are you, Vulcan? You're not feeling it.
I just think the artillery is just so crap in comparison to, like, if this was like a Russian support deck, you would have like so much good stuff. But in this, it's like, oh, just have like the terrible equivalent.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
The PhD makes like little patches of fire.
Yeah, have a tiny little spread of fire, you know. It doesn't even have any HE power. It just literally is a napalm spreader. The impact doesn't even do any damage, which is just pathetic. But, oh well, got a couple of them anyway. Now my big hitters. I've got 1 card of the Koksan, basically. For 42,000 meter range, which is incredible. Only time I've ever needed more range is on like a diagonal in like a 10v10 map. So yeah, they've got the range that you need.
And 4 rounds.
They have only 4 rounds, yeah, but you're going to be sitting them by your FOB most likely, so that's not so much of an issue. But they have 9 HE power, and they're like almost pinpoint accurate. So they are very, very good for sniping units in towns and sniping like medium to light targets. So AA, enemy artillery, you know, stuff like that. They're very good for like pinpoint accurate shots. And you know, these are actually probably one of the better units that you can get in this deck.
Okay. Silver. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I've still got more.
This is a support deck. Bubble.
Oh, yeah.
That's my 5 cards. That's just my artillery. Then I've got 4 cards of anti-air. I've got 2 cards of the HQ61As, and I've got 2 cards of HQ7s. Now, again, the HQ61A is just like a crap book. It only has 2 missiles, and isn't armored or anything. And then 2 cards of HQ7s, which were actually good, you know, really, really good infrared AA. So another really nice unit.
They're basically the Crotels of Red 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Silver. Beat that then.
Alright, I'll start with the AA first this time. I did actually get the HQ61s because they are so bad. I just decided that in order to beat aircraft, I'm just going to saturate an area with AA missiles and hope that the airplane gets shot down.
Okay.
But what I first started off with is the PGZ-95. It's basically the Tunguska version of the Chinese. Turn off the radar gun, they have infrared missiles. I also got 2 stacks of HQ7s because, as I said, they're the Crotel of the Red 4. Very good infrared AA. I also got some VTT-323 Iglas, and the reason why I got these, even though I have another gun of the PGZ-95, is that these are amphibious, so I can float them to like islands or across the river and provide a little more AA support of any kind of advance in operations. And that's my AA for the time being. Now, for our artillery, I actually had a little more fun in making these. For my main artillery, it's going to be the Tokchon 152 millimeter. And I've got 2 cards of these, so I could bring in 14 of these wide dispersion artillery. And I'll tell you this, if you have 14 of them firing in an area at once, I don't care what's in that area, it's going to die.
Yeah, I kind of think that I maybe should have focused more on tube artillery in this deck, but there we go.
I also got the Coxons as well. Same fact as Vulcan, long range, tight dispersion, high HE power. And one thing to note is that when I was saying 4 rounds, normally these kind of sniper artillery, as I call them, only have 2 rounds. The fact that these have 4 is unusual, to say the least, in these terms of artillery with 9 HE power. Is what I was
I think they fire them all as well if you're not careful. So it does sit there for a little bit, firing them all off. So just be a little bit careful with that if you're getting counter-arted.
Yep. I also got some VTT 323 120mm mortars, and this is to help provide mainly smoke for if an enemy says, I want to advance soon, I can bring these in, smoke out an area, and then they can advance, as well as provide a little more extra mortar support with 5 HE power, which is fairly decent. And finally, I did get some rocket artillery. I got the BM-24, and I got these because these have 8 HE power, which I think would do better in stunning up and panicking areas more effective than the 7 HE power BM-21 that you said.
Yeah, you do get over double the munitions though.
Yeah, true. I'll be honest. I did actually take BM-21 and BM-24, go into skirmish, and just compare the dispersion zones as I had them fired multiple times. And I'm just like, So I kind of like the dispersion effect better of the BM-24 than BM-21, but it's to each your own.
Okay, that's it.
Yep.
Well, I'll say this for you. You always go for the best looking vehicles. Have you seen what those artillery look like? Those Tochon, whatever, 152mm.
they're like trains with a gun on it.
And the BM-24s look well. I'm not even going to
BM-24s are just
my God.
cannons.
Best looking vehicles, silver all the time. But anyway, mine stuff's quite similar to, probably more similar to Vulcan's. 2 sets of HQ7s, vetted up, of course. 2 sets of HQ61As for the long range stuff. And then I've gone for the 4 Coxons as well. I do like these. I've had a little practice with this deck, and these do work really, really well. And what's good is if you let them fire once and then move them, they get 4 good shots, and because they've got a good HE power, they can take out AA and stuff like that in 1 salvo. And then you've got 4 salvos before you have to actually return to the fob to fill them up if you kind of babysit them a little bit, and they'll never get counter-arted that way either. Also, I've gone for 2 sets of the PHL 81 cluster bombers. Yes, you do need a lot of them. They can be effective, but you do need a lot of them firing on one area, especially to take out tanks and things like Abrams and stuff like that. And then I've got a set of the PHL 70 napalm spreaders, with the 7,700 meter range, and I've gone for a set of the 50-point PHL 63s as well. Just for a bit of variety, you get 4 of those. You only get 2 of the PHZ 70s. And that's it. That's my support tab.
I suppose if you have so many napalm spreaders that they can actually do more than just patching napalm here and there that allow infantry to walk through it, they might be good.
They're okay. You just have to group them up. You just have to group them up. That's it. Yeah. The only advantage, if you can call it an advantage, they've got over the Buratino. Yes, they're down in firepower, but they're longer range, so you can sit them further back, so they're less vulnerable. They're not going to get taken out by the enemy as long as you're a little bit careful.
Right. They're also not going to hit anything.
They do support pushes, so if you've got like an armored deck and it needs to be doing a push in your napalm an area and your cluster bombing area, then just let the tanks roll through. I hope that's what we're going to try and do. I don't know whether it'll work, but we'll try it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
Well, that's it. I think that's it for the support. Let's move on to the tanks.
Yeah.
Silver.
Tanks. I just kind of just grabbed whatever seemed to be good from the tank section. I got Chonmaho 4s as basically the heaviest tank this deck has. With 12 front armor, 2,275 meter range. I then got ZTZ 59 2As as sort of the. I almost want to say medium tank but they're so cheap that it would also be considered a light tank. And also I got ZTZ 59 1s as the lightest spam tank in this deck. So the tank section doesn't have much selection really.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't bear to pick like a tank, so I just I just took the most expensive thing. I got a Chon Maho 4. I got one card. I was like, I'm not going to be doing anything with tanks in this deck, other than maybe a T-34 spam. But even then, no, I couldn't bring myself to do that. So
Too much pride.
I just went for the Chon Maho. That's all I got.
Yeah, pretty much similar thoughts to me. After doing the support tab and struggling to get any artillery in my support deck that's any decent, then turned over to the tanks and thought it's actually getting worse now. Because I thought, well, why bother? Just let the other players bring the tanks out. I just don't need to bring any tanks out. But of course, I had to spend my points, so I had to get some tanks. But rather than just going for the most expensive like you, Vulcan, I just thought, well, I'll just go for the bloody cheapest thing then. And then if I need to spam them at the end of the game, I'll spam them. So I got 2 sets of T-34s and 2 sets of ZTZ 99 ones, and that's it.
Yeah, I honestly think that's the only way you can go about it. It's just the cheap spam. You know, even I'm tempted to take away the Chon Maho and just put in a unit of T-34s.
Yeah.
The reason I hate the Chon Maho so bad is just the 6 rate round per minute.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that?
I know.
That is. Oh my god. Okay. Can we move on?
Let's move swiftly on to the reconnaissance then. Again, not too much for choice. Go for it.
Yeah. I got the MI1 actually, and this is a really funny looking helicopter. But
yeah, I think it's one of the first.
It's cheap, so that's why I got it, and it's air recon worth having.
Okay,
in my opinion.
The rotor actually looks too heavy for the helicopter. Flopping down at the sides.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I got a unit of MI1s, very good recon, 35 points, worth having. I've got a card of BRDM 2s. These are simply good recon, but they're very fast, and they can sneak around in places and give you information without necessarily being spotted. So I think they're worth having.
Okay.
And they're also good for killing NATO APCs, which won't have AP power. So then I have a unit of Jeong Chalde, which are the sniper unit for the North Koreans. Exceptional stealth, again worth having. And that's basically it. I didn't think I would need to focus too much on recon because I was hoping that the other decks would have that down a bit more.
Yeah, well, they should be. Yeah.
The recon units in this only go to very good in terms of recon capability.
Yeah.
So it's not much choice really.
I'm just gonna say this right now, Vulcan. Relying on your allies to recon for you is very, very risky if you're going into a room of random people. So having played support in those situations where my allies did little to no recon, I built this deck with the idea of trying to get an innocuous, hidden-looking recon to be able to spot where to drop my artillery on.
Yeah, honestly, I'm never gonna play this deck with randoms. Like this is a deck that would only be played in a team.
What have you got then, Silver?
Well, I got the Jeong Chowde sniper squads as well. I got them in MI4, so I can just kind of fly them off into sort of a remote corner, and then have them walk the rest of the way so that they could spot what could be coming down the road and provide coordinates for my artillery. Yep. I also got Lai Ren as well. These are pretty decent infantry, and shock trained. I was thinking that these would also be able to more of a front line, able to spot where to bring in artillery on top of. So that's why I chose them. And I also got the MI ones because they're just more funny looking than the MI2, and they're cheaper.
Okay, yeah, I've only got 2 recon. I'm a bit of a mind like Vulcan, already supplying them with all their artillery, all their AA, and all their supply. I think they can produce their own reconnaissance if they want me to artillery for them. So I got the Younger Charlie Days, whatever they pronounce that, in MI4s, and I got the Lirens in Z9As, again for exactly the same reason as SilverRaptor. Those Lirens are decent infantry, actually, considering the state of the infantry we've got in this deck. They can supplement my infantry force on the front line as well if necessary, and that's it for my reconnaissance. So, vehicles.
Actually, not too terrible in vehicles.
Really? Okay.
Well, I'll go first. Well, first off, I was able to choose the PTZ-89, which I think is a very good vehicle to have for a support deck because at the high rate of fire, you're literally going to be supporting your allies for us just shell after shell after shell.
Okay.
And then also I got TO-55s. Again, with that napalm, you can provide smoke screen and flush out villages. So I just thought that the vehicles were fairly decent for the support section of the support deck.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Okay. That's it,
Is that it?
Right, Vulcan then.
I've just got a unit of PTZ-89s, and that's literally just to supplement my terrible tanks. There's nothing else much to it. I didn't want to spend too many points on vehicles in this deck because I didn't feel like I'd be using them.
Yeah, this actually will be your primary tank in the deck anyway. So yeah,
exactly.
Nice. Again, I didn't think I was going to bring any of these things out, to be honest. So I didn't get hardly any. In fact, I didn't get anything apart from some ZSU 57-2 to supplement my anti-air. Something cheap to bring out in case I need that to put through forests or anything. That's my only card in the vehicles tab for this deck.
Yep.
So let's move swiftly on to another fantastic range of helicopters.
Okay. So I've got a card of Mi-8 gunships.
Yeah.
I've got these actually hardened.
Yeah, top of the range.
Just because. And, they're not actually too bad. They do have 57mm rockets, and they got 96 of those. They do have like a terrible HGM as well, just to snipe a couple units, like APCs. So that'll be all right. But yeah.
That's it, isn't it, really?
Pretty terrible, really. Then I've got the MD500D AGS-17s, and I took these just because they're fun. They're a fun little unit. Those frag grenade launcher is actually pretty decent for picking off like infantry that's like in the open. Like say if like there's an attack on a town and like you've managed to maybe smoke off some of their like bigger units or their AA, you can sweep one of these in and just like take out a couple of infantry units. Also, the grenade launchers can be pretty decent for stunning other vehicles like tanks and stuff. So, they do have their application, but I don't expect to be bringing these out very often. They're only 30 points as well, so
If you think about it this way, they have the same HE power as the Mi-8 gunships rockets, but you just get like more of them at a higher rate of fire, if you think of it that way.
Okay. Yeah, what have you got then, Silver?
I got the same thing, the Mi-8 gunship, but I got these at trained, and the reason why is ever since Bubble did that spam helicopter push with these kinds of things, I love the idea of just flying a whole herd of these across, rockets flying everywhere, and those missiles, even though they're inaccurate, if say 8 helicopters are fired a missile at once, one of those missiles is definitely going to hit, if not more of them. So they're pretty good if you bring them in herds. And I also got the MD500 DAGS 17. These are very good support with the twin grenade launchers. They have a very high rate of fire. They're pretty fast, and so they're very good at sort of supporting infantry or countering infantry pushes, as Vulcan said.
Yeah, okay. Well, I haven't got any of those. I've actually got something. What I was just trying to think of, how can I support other players? What chopper can I use? And I've actually gone for the Z5A. Yeah, it's this thing again. um, because my favorite chopper, because it's got a rocket pod with 80 rockets in it. So I figured it can slow anything down. If there's a push going on anywhere, or there's some infantry like attacking into a base somewhere, it's going to get in. It can rip infantry apart if it can get close enough. It has got a range 2,100. It can slow tanks and slow armored vehicles down, though probably not kill them unless it gets a couple of good salvos off and they're not too strongly armored. So yeah, you can use these individually and in packs. There's a lot of firepower there for 40 points.
Yeah, I probably should have taken like the MI4s or the Z5As over the Mi8 gunship, to be fair, because they do have 2 HE power instead of the 1 HE power. But there we go.
Okay.
Oh well.
Right, and on to the last big tab. Mine's full. I don't know about you guys. As we are support, I figured I'd better bring a few planes in on the act. Who's going first on this one?
Silver.
Okay. I got GH 7s to be able to take out tanks. They're anti-tank guided missile planes. I also got A51s. They're decent cluster bomber, I think, with 6 AP power, able to take out vehicles in decent area. I also got J7Hs, sort of as a precision bomber, with its 1,000 kilogram bomb. I just sort of drop it on like an area of contention. Like I said, it's more precision in kind of contested areas, so I can reduce the amount of collateral that might be done. And in the event that I don't want to care about collateral at all, I of course have the B5. So
yeah. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, the only thing I'll say is all your planes have little or no ECM, which might be.
And you have no seed.
Which is going to be difficult for you to use, apart from at the end of the game when there's no AA left.
Yeah.
So be careful. Yeah.
First point to make about one of your choices, Silver, is the JH7. Right, this thing is on paper really good.
Oh.
But the trouble is with its TV guidance missiles is they are just not that great. Like, they're just not. They're just, like, in terms of how they work in the game, the JH7 gets itself shot down pretty often because the way TV guidance, they generally dive towards the target and then they drop the they get rid of the missile, it's fire and forget, they fly away. But because there's two of them, it fires them really slowly one after the other, and the range is only 3,100 meters. They're always in AA range, like pretty much all the time. And that's why I have the Q5D in its place. I was talking to someone about this, and they pointed me in this direction because the bombs are just like so much more effective because they drop at a further away distance, and also they drop them from higher. So instead of diving into AA range, these guys fly at a level and then they drop their bombs and fly up straight away. So they always are further out of range of AA sooner, which is what makes them more effective.
I do like the Q5D, so I thought that I would get the J7H for the precision bomber, but I might swipe.
30% ECM as well, so I'd go for it.
All right, I'm going to do a little bit of reworking of my aircraft. You guys talk, and then I'll tell you my new updated selections.
Okay. Then I have a couple of Fabios. You can have two, so I took both and used up 2 cards. I actually have 15 activation points in my air. I've got 5 cards. So where in like tanks and vehicles where I wasn't necessarily going to be picking up many units, I invested all those points into air because I just felt it was so much more value for money really in the air units. So yeah, I've got 2 Fabios. They're going to be my units for like obviously anti-radar AA. So or just seed basically. So yeah, they're really, really good for that. Then I've got 2 SU-27 SKs, obviously just 1 card, but these are obviously really good. It's great that you get 2 on 1 card. Exceptional ECM with 40%. Obviously, it's not 50%, so not the best, but still 40% is good enough, and 900 km/h speed. It has semi-active Vimpel missiles, which aren't the best because you have to continue flying towards the enemy aircraft, which generally ends up in a 1-for-1 trade when it comes to it. But there we go.
Yep.
The best you can get, so may as well have them. Then finally, I do have the B5s. These are the big bombers. Everyone loves the B5.
Yeah, I can't imagine any of us not having it. So what have I got? Pretty similar to you, Vulcan, really. I got 2 Fabers for this 2 seeds, and they've also got fire and forget missiles, so they can protect themselves a little bit as well. I've got the B5, won't talk about that. That's been talked about in depth already. I've gone for my main fighter, the MiG-29-912B. It's got a weird kind of impel missile because the range is only 4,200, which is really weird range in this game.
Yeah, it's like a dogfighter.
Yeah, but I went for that rather than the one you've gone for because I just prefer the fire and forget missiles. You don't have to worry too much about your planes, even though these are going to have to get much closer before they'll release their missiles, of course. But they are a little bit cheaper. And then I've got the Q5D for my kind of bombing towns and stuff like that, really. That was more of an afterthought, but yeah, I got that anyway. And that's all my planes.
All right, I actually finished reworking it a bit. I did swap out my J7H 1,000 kilogram bomb for the Q5D because the Q5D has good AG power with its precision missiles. I also swapped out that anti-tank guided plane for a Fabeo because you're right, it is a very good lead plane, so might as well have it in.
Okay, brilliant, guys. Well, that just leaves us with our favorite unit to try and sort out.
So we can choose between logistics and support.
You can choose. You can choose anything. Let's face it, because I think in this deck, aircraft are part of support.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We've all got loads of aircraft, and we've all got loads of aircraft for a reason because it's a support deck. So if you want to choose an aircraft, choose an aircraft. But I am actually going to go for the Coxswain because it's a good tube RT, and I reckon if you're playing this as a proper support deck, you're going to be wanting to get these in near the start, and you're going to use them throughout the whole game. So I think they're going to be an integral part of this deck. So I'm going to go for the Coxswain as my favourite unit in the this particular support deck.
Okay.
Vulcan, your turn.
For me, it's probably going to be the HQ7. I think the HQ7 is just like a really, really good infrared AA. Like, it's probably the best unit that you can get in this deck, just by stats.
It is.
So yeah,
brilliant.
That's my choice. It never lets me down.
If it had a stabilizer, it would be unstoppable. Didn't they used to have a stabilizer, the Crowtails? They took it off because it was OP.
No, right. I don't think it's ever had one.
No.
Okay. Yeah, nice unit. What about you, Silver?
I'm going to actually do the Tokchon 152 millimeters because I love these things carpeting an area with 7HE power shells for their cheap price. I use these a lot in decks whenever I have them, so that's going to be my favorite unit.
Oh my god. Okay.
I just love these things. They're so
what
funny
are we going to do? Jeez, man.
And with us finishing off, I'd like to thank Bubblebox and SilverRaptor once again for letting me help them with their deck videos. If you'd like to see more like this, then please make sure that you check out Bubblebox's channel in the description. He does a lot of videos that I don't, so make sure that you go check them out. A video with this deck should be up soon, but in the meantime, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.